that no matter how stupid you are, and no matter how much you want to believe in this concept, it can't work. In no dimension in the multiverse could this ever be a real possibility. So when you're saying times, when you're using multiplication here, you're talking about the groups of something. So one group of 1 is 1. But let's get more physical with it. And I'm going to do it using a physical object here. We're going to get real, kinetic with it. And I'm going to use the GamerSupps Moist Waifu Cup. So this is me on the cup, big titty anime girl. It's available at gamersupps.gg. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's available for the next 2 weeks. This just seemed like a natural segue into mentioning that while I demonstrate this. Now let's put this concept into practice in a real-world scenario. You catch me at the grocery store, you say, "Pardon me, Charles, looking extraordinarily breedable as ever today. I have this box of moist GamerSupps Waifu Cups. Come take a peek." And I march on over and I say, "By Jove, look at that. There is a single moist waifu shaker cup in that box. There is one box with one moist GamerSupps cup in it. One box with one cup. I pick that up, I would have one shaker cup. 1 times 1 equals 1. That's just how it works. There's not any scenario where all of a sudden this waifu shaker cup is going to start budding like it's fucking SpongeBob and I'll end up with 2 somehow. That's not how it works. I have one box that has one cup in it. You come up to me again, this time it's at a Sam Ash music store, I'm fucking blowing away at a trumpet. You say, "Charles, check out these moist GamerSupps waifu shaker cups I have in these boxes." I say, "Oh, how many cups are per box?" You say, "There's 2 waifu shaker cups in these boxes," and I have 2 boxes. 2 boxes of 2 waifu shaker cups, that's 4 total waifu shaker cups. 2 times 2. It's like, this shouldn't be a hard thing for people to grasp. These aren't hard to understand, but when you have someone like Terrence Howard preaching just completely incorrect things, it's able to mislead people who want to believe in something different, that want to have this big paradigm shift in mathematics, which I don't really get. Why do you want mathematics to change? The only reason you're alive right now is because of...
For example, 5 or any number times 0. They say that the number 5 or any number times by anything is 0, meaning the number 5 doesn't exist. Or does it? For example, 5 or any number times 1. They say that it's only repeated once, so it's 5 or any number 1 you multiply it by. You see, this theory is contradicting, and repeating it out loud makes you think. I say that because after the number 1, you can count the number as is. For example, 2 times 2 is 4. Why? Because you count the number 2 twice. This carries on for the rest of the numbers, but why are the numbers 1 and 0 different? Is it because the numbers 1 and 0 are the rooted numbers of the matrix? I mean, think about it. With this contradictory method, they're saying that if you have 2 pizzas on one end of the table and 0 at the other end, you technically have no pizzas. As we know, this doesn't make sense. Clearly, there are 2 pizzas still on the table. 0 means nothing. Therefore, you will get the higher number when you multiply against anything higher than 0. Because 0 means nothing. Why did they want the numbers 1 and 0 to be multiplied differently? This method has set us back many years since the 60s. While China and Japan used the original method, hence why they're ahead of us in technology now. Take a look at these clips.
Won't move. 2 actions, no reaction. Sorry, Terry, but more importantly than demonstrating how everything he just said is bananas idiotic, let's review what multiplication is. Multiplication is an elementary arithmetic operation which is essentially repeated addition. 1 times 4 literally means the number 1 4 times, and then you add them up. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. 1 times 3. Write 1 3 times. Add them up. You get 3. 1 times 2. 1 twice. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 times 1 means you write 1 one time. So it's 1. There's nothing to add. His revolutionary discovery is just him being dumber than a toddler, and toddlers do like to shake things, so this lady isn't wrong.
Well, you're a shaker-upper.
Let's be clear, there are only 2 possibilities. 1, Terrence Howard is doing a Joaquin Phoenix-style extended piece of performance art and is therefore profoundly brilliant. Or 2, he's a delusional narcissist incapable of living his life without pretending that he's the smartest person in human history.
Energy in the universe is expressed in what? It's in motion. If something is still, there's no energy. We look at galaxies, Are they expressed in straight lines? Expressed in vortices. All vortices are expressed in what? Waves. All waves are curved. Show me a straight line in nature. You show me where the platonic solids come from. If you look at anything, there are no straight lines.
Truly, in my opinion at least, that platonic solids don't exist. Platonic solids are part of the holographic matrix. The only thing that does exist are electromagnetic waves. That's all, and there are no straight lines. So behind fractal quantum holographic universe, there is nothing but electromagnetic waves, and those waves are propagating and being sent into this realm, into this dimension, carrying energy, frequency, vibration. And when they interact with conscious thought, that's when they collapse things into platonic solids. There's really only one true thing that does exist outside of what we consider to be the third dimension is consciousness. Terrence Howard, he's had an awakening of some sort. It takes a lot of courage to even come out in such a mass setting like that. He was referencing the flower of life with sacred geometrical figure. And it really goes back to as above, so below. At the base of everyone's spine are a group of cells that are in the form of the flower of life from the time you're born and stays there until you die. When he's talking about the spheres, there are no straight lines. He's not saying that platonic solids don't exist. Platonic solids are part of the holographic matrix. The only thing that does exist are electromagnetic waves. That's all, and there are no straight lines. So when those waves are propagating and being sent into this realm, into this dimension, carrying energy, frequency, vibration. And when they interact with conscious thought, that's when they collapse things into platonic solids, which then collapse things into what we get as an illusion of solidity, an illusion of locality, an illusion of space and differentiation, an illusion of perception.
You see, this is why we cannot tap into the matrix because of math misconceptions.
Terrence Howard, he's had an awakening of some sort. It takes a lot of courage to even come out in such a mass setting like that. He was referencing the flower of life with sacred geometrical figure. And it really goes back to as above, so below. At the base of everyone's spine are a group of cells that are in the form of the flower of life from the time you're born and stays there until you die. When he's talking about the spheres, there are no straight lines. He's not saying that platonic solids don't exist. Platonic solids are part of the holographic matrix. The only thing that does exist are electromagnetic waves. That's all, and there are no straight lines. So when those waves are propagating and being sent into this realm, into this dimension, carrying energy, frequency, vibration. And when they interact with conscious thought, that's when they collapse things into platonic solids, which then collapse things into what we get as an illusion of solidity, an illusion of locality, an illusion of space and differentiation, an illusion of perception. Terrence Howard, obviously Terrence Howard, he's had an awakening of some sort. So hats off to the brother for that. Because first of all, it takes a lot of courage to even come out in such a mass setting like that on a big stage, on your own platform. And he dropped a lot of information in a very short period of time.
I've made some discoveries in my own personal life with the science that, Pythagoras was searching for. I was able to open up the flower of life properly and find the real wave conjugations that we've been looking for 10,000 years. Why would I continue, walking on water for tips when I've got an entire generation to teach a whole new world? Well, let me put it this way. All energy in the universe is expressed in motion. All motion is expressed in waves. All waves are curved. So where does the straight lines come from to make the platonic solids? There are no straight lines. So when I took the flower of life and opened it properly, I found a whole new wave conjugations that expose the in-between spaces. It's the thing that holds us all together.
Wondering how the universe really came to be. And I fell in love with this thing called the flower of life. You guys know Da Vinci. Do you know what he spent most of his life trying to figure out? I want you guys to know about a 6,000-year-old secret. 6,000 years, mankind has been trying to decipher this one little thing called the flower of life. This is one of the oldest symbols in human history. This symbol was found in the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, and it had been molecularly burned into the wall. The same symbol has been found in the forbidden temples in China, sitting under the Fufu dogs, and the foot on it, the flower of life, saying whoever controlled that flower of life controlled the universe. There were secrets in that flower of life that Da Vinci spent his whole life trying to uncover, that Newton spent his whole life in secret trying to uncover. Pythagoras was desperately trying to uncover, but the problem was they kept seeing this in a two-dimensional space. They couldn't get it out of this two-dimensional frame. They got stuck in this flat plane. They were trying to find a way to bring this flower to life because what is inside of it? Well, apparently there were secrets inside of it. Shapes, they got the Merkaba and all of those other things out of it. But they were misled by something I think called a straight line. You guys believe in straight lines? You believe there's straight lines in the universe? Well, let me hit you with something. All energy in the universe is expressed in motion. If something is still, there's no energy. You look at galaxies, expressed in vortices. All vortices are expressed in waves. All waves are curved. Show me a straight line in nature. You show me where the platonic solids come from. If you look at anything, there are no straight lines. Back with the curvature of nature, and you have all these little pieces. Now, this has always been an information system. Take a point here. Well, what's the space in between all of these things? Now, they've said that all the in-between spaces, if this is the Earth and this is the moon right here, all this in-between space is filled with what? A void. There's nothing in the void. Well, I found that there is something in the void. Being able to define the entire electric field, plasmic field, and patent it, and being able to present that, but also being given the blessing of defining the magnetic field, the feminine side, and patenting the expansion or the unfolding of the universe, but then being given the opportunity to define the neutral that sits between it, or the constitution, which is the linchpin that mitigates between the micro, which is the electric world, and the macro, which is the magnetic world, and this works as a bridge, a common factor between. So having discovered and patented the grand unified field equation, and putting it into practice and building all of these new industries that have come from it, from transcendental lighting to tangential flight. I've patented 4 supersymmetrical systems. And a supersymmetrical system is, it always aligns. That's how the universe behaves. And according to science, there are no supersymmetrical systems because the platonic solids have a thing called discrete symmetry. Platonic solids were 5 polygons based upon straight lines and flat planes since the days of Pythagoras and the days of Plato. These were the undisputed fundamentals of God, and they said that they pulled it out of the flower of life.
Well, referencing the flower of life, which, if you don't know what that is, anybody out there, it's a sacred geometrical figure, and it really goes back to as above, so below. If you're looking at, for example, just when you start off with the ovum with an egg, that's one sphere, and by the time you add 6 more interconnecting spheres, you now have a seed. You have a seed of life. Then so it goes from a seed to a fruit, to a flower, so it's really a progression of life. At the base of everyone's spine are a group of cells that are in the form of the flower of life. And there's this flower of life cellular formation in the base of the spine. It's there from the time you're born and it stays there until you die. But that's just a representation in a biological life form, because as above, so below. When you go into the next level, the ether of space-time itself, he discovered, when he unwrapped the flower of life, he discovered the energy grid, the grid that binds us all together, that we're actually on. And when he's talking about the spheres, there are no straight lines. He's not saying that the platonic solids don't exist. Platonic solids are part of the holographic matrix. Behind all of that, the only thing that does exist are electromagnetic waves. That's all, and there are no straight lines. So behind the quantum holographic universe, there is nothing but electromagnetic waves, and those waves are propagating and being sent into this dimension, carrying energy, frequency, vibration, and when they interact with conscious thought, that's when they collapse things into platonic solids, which then collapse things into what we get as an illusion of solidity, an illusion of locality, an illusion of space and differentiation, an illusion of perception. There's really only one true thing that does exist, outside of what we consider to be the third dimension is consciousness. So consciousness literally has divided itself into trillions and trillions of entities throughout this entire universe. And the method that it emanates from is through something called a vesica piscis. The vesica piscis is actually part of the flower of life. So where you have the intersecting circles in the flower of life, every one of those intersections is a womb. Now the vesica piscis emanates energy into the third dimension. Out of the vesica piscis is literally a womb, just like when you cut open an orange, cut open a grapefruit. Obviously, a human being is born through a womb. Life primarily comes through wombs. And this is why even in the biblical text, they reference the matrix. What it says is that in order for a man to be born, he must exit the matrix and that he must come out of the womb. This is why quantum entanglement works. It's because we're all in that same energetic grid that is created by this flower of life. Everything literally is connected, and distance is even an illusion. We are really living in a fractal holographic universe. It doesn't mean that we're not real, but what it means is the mechanism used to create this third dimensional illusion, the energy emanates through that flower of life from the vesica piscis into this dimension, along with then consciousness intervention helps slow down the frequency and vibration of the electromagnetic waves, which then give us the illusion that things are solid, things have matter, things have substance, things have distance and locality and everything else. The main reason why we're here is to collect information and data. As above, so below. From a human brain, encased in darkness, doesn't know what's going on the outside, says to his friends, all its five senses, go out and collect information, bits of data. They themselves don't know exactly what they are collecting. They're just collecting information from the outside. They bring it back to the brain, which is encased in total darkness, and say, here's the data. And the brain wants to then figure out what's going on. Then it projects a hologram as to what it thinks is going on outside, and you navigate through the matrix that way. Above, the universe itself is consciousness. It literally has divided itself into trillions of entities, and now we're one of those. We're out here collecting bits of information as we live through our life, as we navigate through this matrix, and we send that data as a stream directly back to source so that it can experience itself subjectively from every different perspective in the third dimension. And all of this, to me, in my personal opinion, is emanating the energy that comes into this dimension to create all of this is emanating through this flower of life, which are these electromagnetic waves, this dark energy and dark matter, which he discovered when he unwrapped the flower of life.
Work with us.
Explain what it does. Explain, when you said flight, what do you mean?
Tangential flight.
What do you mean by that?
It means right now, fixed wing aircraft, you can go in 4 degrees of direction. They go up, down, some can go forwards and backward, backwards and right to left. But this is able to spin around its own center of mass. Completely spin around its own center of mass, something people are able to do it by falling, but this is a sustained system that's able to go around. I sent that other video to you. But their ability, because this is the geometry of hydrogen, any bond that hydrogen can make, linchpin can make, and what they're basically doing is building a periodic table in front of you. If you play 4 of them coming together, it's 4 30-second videos. Work with us. The universe is probably one cell. Everything in the universe, as above, so below, like Billy Carson always talks about.
The universe is most likely the shadow of a higher dimension. Now we're getting closer to understanding what we really are. We understand now that consciousness isn't made inside this avatar body, that the avatar body doesn't even exist, that consciousness is a stream of something coming from somewhere else and is being picked up in this matrix with this coding. What's here? There's only one consciousness, it seems, and it's like a radio station that's transmitting out a frequency from a higher dimension. Our avatar bodies pick up that frequency. You're 99.1, I'm 99.2, he's 99.3, but it's still coming from the same source. And so we're all coming from the same source. It's like the universe has found a way to live subjectively through multiple entities, but not even through entities, even through objects that we consider to be man-made, because every atom we know now in quantum physics is also conscious.
Everything is just one great being. We're all God. The unity. They give all this credit about the pyramids. If those were built by an advanced civilization,
And I'm not saying they weren't built by someone that used other things, but I believe those things came initially from 100, 200,000 years ago, and the shape was more like this. But after people had been removed, or the influences of the individuals that made them like this, they now was like, okay, we're just gonna make them with straight lines. And they limited themselves to that because they opened up the flower of life incorrectly. They invented straight lines where even God can't make a straight line because of their rules of equanimity.
What do you mean by 200,000 years ago?
There's over 130 something thousand years worth of water damage under the Sphinx itself. They give all this credit here. My wife looked at this, the feminine side, because that's all I had really gotten to at that point. And she was like, this nursed me back to life because I was angry. I was really angry. And I was going to use all of the knowledge that I had, and I was going to destroy mankind. Like,
Oh my God! Right out of Marvel.
I was like, yeah, I was about to, but then
Well, I'm glad you did.
now I know I'm here to help mankind. This is, have the universities check out what I'm doing.
Well, it's one of
I owe Terrence Howard an apology. I was wrong. I had overlooked a crucial part of his research.
God took dirt and blew into it the breath of life, and it came to life. But if you look at the Brownian effect, what is breathing? Going from positive to negative. And they see all these, even the plastic that makes these things up are still going from, it's still carbon, polarizing from positive to negative. Breathing in, breathing out. It's just under a different state of matter, but there is no death. There's no death. Everything's eternal. And once we get rid of the idea, okay, you're going to die and disappear, then they don't have any grasp over you anymore. And to be free, the truth will set you free. That's why I was like, okay, well, if this truth cost me this lifetime, then wonderful, I've accomplished what I needed to do. Because I think in the previous lifetime, I was supposed to do these things and I didn't. And that's why it's been so hard for me. And that's why I've pushed so hard to get these things out, because
So you felt like that, like from the womb?
From the womb, I had to get this done.
So you felt like you had these things that you didn't get out in a previous lifetime, and now you feel like an unstoppable urge.
I have to at all costs. God took dirt. Do you guys know that the earth is drifting away from the sun?
Yeah, slightly.
This is the mistake I made at the Oxford, because they wouldn't allow me to bring my notes or anything. So I said the drift was 6 inches a year. It's 0.6 inches a year. Mm-hmm. So if you add up how long it would take the Earth to move, and all of the planets in every solar system is drifting away from their primary at this same exact rate. Like 1.5 centimeters. So this is a universal expansion that's happening with everything moving away. So them saying and the Webb telescope have proven that those galaxies couldn't have formed 13, 14 billion years ago. But if you would just add up linearly how long it would take the Earth to go from the sun to 93 million miles away, it's 5,280 feet in a mile, 12 inches in a foot. Therefore, it's 1 mile equals 63,360 inches. So the number of years that it will take for the Earth to move 1 mile is 105,600 years. So that in order for the Earth to reach where we are at 93 million miles, it would take 9,820,800 million years for the Earth to get here. Likewise, Mars, at 147 million miles away from the sun, it would take 15,780,480 million years for Mars to get where it was. Mars was here in the Goldilocks zone. And now Venus is going to
inherit the Goldilocks zone next. But once Earth moves to where Mars is, Venus is going to slowly move and will be right here. Maybe 5 or 6 trillion years, Venus will be right here, and humanoids will appear again and unwind the same way. And that asteroid belt that we have right now between Mars and Jupiter, that used to be a planet. And I believe that they had humanoids that developed on there, the same way that everything, that's the periodic table. These things happen according to periodicity. They happen under regular events. You change the motion and pressure conditions, the crystallization changes. We call it a different element, but it's the same substance. Like my hand is one substance, but if I do it like this and do it like this and do it like this, it looks like a whole different thing. And they can call it a different element, but it's the same element under different motion and pressure conditions. I believe that Sirius used to be a planet when it was here, and the humanoids on there didn't recognize that we don't have a solid core. Everything expands as a sphere, and no sphere in our universe, no bubble has a solid core. We're perceiving it as a solid core, but there's not a solid core there. There's just a bubble. And at CERN, with that Hadron Collider, that particle accelerator, I believe they did the same thing, and they popped their planet.
Really?
Just take it, if you add up all of the weight of the mass of those of the asteroids in the asteroid belt, it will probably equal the same mass as that of Mars.
So you believe that the sun is the origin of these planets?
Of all the planets. Every solar
solar system
within its solar system gives birth to all of these other planets. This is what Walter Russell had talked about. This is what Neil deGrasse, and they attacked him for, because he talked about the drift, this natural drift, and that didn't make more sense. And they didn't have the idea of dark matter and dark energy then.
Right.
They didn't even come up with that. And now we understand 4% of the universe is visible,
right,
and 75% of it, 70% of it is dark energy, and 20-something% of it is dark matter. Unperceivable things, and they say that's because they needed to figure out how would they get the spin and create galaxies.
Why do they hold
spiral
together?
Galaxies.
Right.
Do you guys know that?
Check this out.
And you said something I've never really heard a lot of actors say about the process of acting. And you said that sometimes when you walk off, they walk off with your clothes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, as an actor, you're more like a medium. You know, when you really get there, you go into this zone and you really divorce yourself of who you are. And you just become a garment that something else puts on. Now, a lot of people sit up there and do impersonations of other folks, instead of allowing that spirit, but I sit up and I'll pray for a little bit and go in a dark place, go in a bathroom, turn off the lights, look in the mirror. We'll have the light on at first, and then after 1 minute, turn the light off and and search until you see your own glow, your own aura, and then you watch it change.
Wow.
And it's a scary thing because you'll feel like some hands are on you, and you lose a little bit of control of what you're doing. But, if you stay with it, you'll be inhabited by something, and then you walk out, and the character's with you, and you got to know how to say goodbye to it.
Right.
If you really want to get there.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid, to empty themselves and be filled up with something else. But, as an actor, you're an emotional prostitute.
Wow.
You put on whatever you need for the John. You're turning a trick. You're turning an emotional trick.
Wow.
And it's nothing more glorious than that.
Okay.
Now, first off, the wig is wild.
You see how them motherfuckers came in today? They knew. They say these niggas is seeing some shit. These niggas is seeing some shit. They actually think, you know what I'm saying? But bitch, we invented numbers. We invented numbers. When y'all motherfuckers was up in there, you understand what I'm saying? Still on all fours. You see what I'm saying? On all fours. We got miraculous civilizations all over, goddamn. Y'all couldn't even add up, motherfucker, how to wash your ass. How the fuck I'm gonna look to you as being of great science and mathematics, and motherfucker, you can't even add up how to put soap and water on your ass. Man, you think I'm gonna listen to something like that? See, I'm the wrong motherfucker to come to. Cause I'm going straight, nigga, bare knuckles with your ass. You gonna add some shit up and you can't even wash your ass. No fuck is you talking to me like, bitch, I'm God. Don't step to me. I the one put the board on your back and stood you up. I had to tie the board on your back so you could stand upright. Other than that, you'll still be like the goddamn beast of the field. Okay, so don't you ever step to God like that. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. Not after I put that board, I was merciful, you see, to do that for you. You see, and you still want to take the board off and go back to your roots. You see what I'm saying? That's why motherfuckers is wondering what the hell they seeing in the trees and shit at night. We know who that is. You motherfucker want to go back to your roots. You understand what I'm saying? Can't get out of the nature in which you was created in. And so that's why I had to do that, family. Listen up, everybody.
You would think with how smart he makes himself seem that he wouldn't just play with it so freely. But with that being said, y'all, check this out.
And you said something I've never really heard a lot of actors say about the process of acting. And you said that sometimes when you walk off, they walk off with your clothes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, as an actor, you're more like a medium. Mm-hmm. When you really get there, you go into this zone and you really divorce yourself of who you are. Mm-hmm. And you just become a garment that something else puts on. Now, right. A lot of people sit up there and do impersonations of other folks, mm-hmm. Instead of allowing that spirit, but I sit up and I'll pray for a little bit and go in a dark place, mm-hmm. go in a bathroom, turn off the lights, look in the mirror. We'll have the light on at first, and then after 1 minute, turn the light off and search until you see your own glow, your own aura. And then you watch it change.
Wow.
And it's a scary thing because you'll feel like some hands are on you. Wow. And you lose a little bit of control of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But, if you stay with it, you'll be inhabited by mm-hmm. something, and then you walk out and the character's with you, and you got to know how to say goodbye to it.
Right.
If you really want to get there.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid, mm-hmm. To empty themselves and be filled up with something else. Mm-hmm. But, as an actor, you're an emotional prostitute.
Wow.
You put on whatever you need for the John. You you're turning a trick. You're turning an emotional trick.
Wow.
And it's nothing more glorious than that.
Okay.
Now, first off, the wig is wild. Just looking at this picture, it looked like this dude finna tell you some bullshit or try to sell you some bullshit. But what he goes into is not something we haven't heard before. Now, the way that he explains it is very clear cut. He said you become a medium, a garment for something else to wear, speaking as in a spirit.
This zone, and you really divorce yourself of who you are.
First of all, anything you involve with that requires you to get rid of who you are, that ought to be a red flag.
Mm-hmm. And you just become a garment that something else puts on. Now,
and when you become something like that, a garment that something else put on, and you don't really know what that something else is, you're just so desperate for money that you willing to practice magic and do all kind of sorcery, that you will be a spiritual whore to any frequency,
then you get what you get, man, because this spiritual world ain't nothing to play with. Nikola Tesla said, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. So when you go in the dark and you go to channeling any old little energy, long as this spirit will get me to the top, that shit turns out that you'll be rich as hell, but you will be being tormented and hunted by these evil frequencies. Now, me personally, I channel the spirit of my ancestors that died, that was hung on trees, and I call on them in the dark. And I say, use me to speak through me to show your people the way that y'all saw reality. Help us understand reality through y'all lenses. And when I go live and do my symbolism and my teachings, it ain't that I'm teaching y'all. Something takes over my body, dog, just like what they saying. And the knowledge just be coming through me. I become a medium. I know what he talking about. I know what the fuck he talking about, because I'm channeling energy too. But the thing that's the difference between me and him, when I go in the dark, I literally be specific on who I want to use my body. I'm not no whore that's saying any old spirit can just get inside of me long as you get me to the top of Hollywood. Cause now you playing around with some shit that's gonna get you fucked up, dog. This ain't nothing to play with. And if that thing use you and get you to the top of Hollywood, you are indebted, dog. Even when you die, you owe that thing. You don't play around with foreign spirits. If you gonna go in the dark and call out on something, call out on your goddamn grandma. Call out on cousin Pete that died. Call out on your DNA, dog. What the fuck? Why we don't channel foreign spirits? Cause these spirits gonna use us for their agenda. And you gonna channel the spirit of the oppressor.
All of them. If you in goddamn Hollywood, if you in the music business, you in the cultists. You see what I'm saying? You in the goddamn cultists. And so, and so we just we have to understand that a cult means hidden. And so we got to be clear that all the cult is not the same. Okay, that we must clear that up too. You see what I'm saying? All the cult is not the same. Nigga, you into that goddamn Luciferian shit. Let's make that clear. You know, just as, you know, to make it even more specific, use a Luciferian. You see? Use a Luciferian. Y'all motherfuckers worship Lucifer. Okay? And so, yeah, this nigga come back wearing a wig, and then 2 days later, the nigga doing mathematics and shit. You know? Nah, you know, I'm not one to shoot. I had almost, because there's so much information out here. And, you know, I had almost, you know, when they start saying that the nigga was, you know, had some, you know, he had some equations. He was fucking with this flower of life and all this crazy shit. Listen to me. Let me tell y'all something. Everything that you need to open under, but always understand that everything that you motherfucker, you can have all the flowers of life and shit. You see what I'm saying? It still moves that must be made.